I mean, could anything else go wrong? Let me just start from the beginning of the day, because that's the second I realised it was just going to be one of those days. You just know when you're going to have a bad day, and this is one of those worst days that could possibly ever happen. So right from the start, as soon as I woke up, there was just that aroma in the actual whole facility. It just, you know, something's wrong. Now, it wasn't quite like a dead rodent that had gone off, or it was just, there was just a smell, and it's really hard to describe. But I tell you one thing, it made me bolt right up out of bed. I sat there, I was like, something's gone wrong. So right, got to get sorted. Ran out of bed, jumped out as quick as I possibly could, and ran to go through the door. Opened the door that little bit too quick, bang, right in my face. The door goes. And I was like, it stunned me a bit. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? But first call, I mean, every reptile room similar to this has that little bit of a smell anyway. No matter how much you do, I don't like to use the traditional air fresheners or anything because that could harm the animals. So I don't use it. But there was that smell. There's always that smell, but this was just worse. So I come in here and I'm just having a look around thinking, right, well, the Callus versicolor, he's perfectly fine. The royal python, he's perfectly fine. The leopard geckos, although the leopard geckos do look a little bit skinny, it's coming towards the end of the breeding season for them, they're perfectly fine. The male was perfectly fine. The millipede, that was fine. All the tarantulas, they looked perfectly fine. And then I went up to the top of that enclosure just there. I've got two enclosures up there. One was my giant centipede, which had died. Through the night, it had died. Now, yesterday, she was fine. She was up on top of her little log thing, waving her legs around as she does. I fed her 2 days ago. I'll play a little clip now of her feeding. And she was perfectly fine. She was bright and vibrant. Now she's really dull. She's in a corner. She's gone. She's shown absolutely no signs that she was ill in any way, shape or form. The story behind her up there is she is a wild caught centipede. And my whole goal with her, I got offered her for free. You can have this for helping out. Yeah, okay then. It's 2 years ago. Perfectly fine. Thank you. I'll do that. That'll do. Got her home, knowing she was a wild caught. My whole goal with her was to keep her. Can I provide her with everything she needs to thrive in captivity? And do you know what? I've done a really good job. 2 years she was in there. She's not once molted for me, so I assume she's in her adult state. But yeah, she's fed every time. There has been 1 or 2 times where I've tried to change her food. Like, instead of giving her a locust, give her a superworm or a dubia roach, and she didn't really take to that too much. Gave her a red runner once. She's nailed it first time. But she loved the locust, so that's what she got, locust. I gut loaded the locust on different food to give her that little bit of variety. And yeah, she was pretty good. Every 4 to 8 days, she'd get a feed, and yeah, she'd smash it. She was great. And come in this morning, done. So I've got to realise now, what do I do with that enclosure? Because it's not the best enclosure. I mean, it's an Exoterra, so it's absolutely amazing for that standpoint. But the roof itself is polycarbonate, sort of plastic, with a big vent down the middle. That was my whole goal of giving her enough ventilation through these front vents and the top that she could have good ventilation like they would have in Vietnam. But it's an empty canvas, so I can do absolutely anything in there. I've still got to clean it out. She is still in there, so I've got to do that after I've done this video. But like I said, it's a clean canvas. I can do anything with this. Do I set this up for the morning geckos? Do I get a new lid for it? To be fair, I'm waving more towards another tarantula. But I might just keep it and set it up for baby morning geckos. We don't know. But that is the first problem, or the second problem. The first problem was me smashing my face in with the door. That was the first problem. I can't wait to get her out and get this whole enclosure cleaned up, because I've always been scared to go in there because she is venomous. Now I can go in there. I'll be really intrigued to get that log out and see the burrows that she made. I mean, I can see one right now just down here. And yeah, she's just been all over that enclosure, so it'd be interesting to see what sort of work she'd done in there. She was in there for 2 years. I mean, it could have been as simple as she got to that age where that was it. Like I say, I bought a wild caught as an adult, so she could have been 13 years old for all I know. But she did live a good life in here. Was it as good as being out in the wild in Vietnam? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Granted, here she never had to struggle for food, she never had to go hunting for food, she was just given it. So maybe she got a bit lazy that way, I don't know. But, and let me know in the comments what you guys think. I mean, me personally, this is the only wild caught animal that I do have in the collection. So it's the last one I'm ever going to get. We all know the benefits of going for a captive bred species over a wild caught. You don't want to deplenish the wild population because then we won't have a pet population. You can always go captive bred. The captive bred do a lot better in captivity, but I did prove with this one it can be done. It's just a sad moment, really. But then I looked right to the enclosure next door to this one. This Game of Thrones style sort of themed Poecilotheria regalis tarantula enclosure. It's an amazing enclosure. I got it from Doncaster dead cheap because it was broken. I brought it back and I fixed it up. Done this whole sort of Ice Kingdom sort of themed background. All the logs in there, the sticks. Now this one has got fake plants in it, but it's also got a bit of live moss in it. Just because I find with Poecilotheria genus tarantulas, they're the arboreal tarantulas, they like to get into the plants, move them around, web them out and stuff. And if you've got live plants, they can tend to buckle under the pressure, they can kill their homes off, they can do an awful lot of damage. But, so I just done it like this, tried to jump on a trend that Game of Thrones was coming out and I wanted to make a Game of Thrones tarantula. Speaking in common terms, I've never seen a Game of Thrones in my life, so I don't even know if there is an Ice Kingdom. I googled some pictures, I saw this, it looked cool, I'm going to make something similar, and that's what I did. But, passed away. So I don't know if it was something directly up on that top shelf there, or whether this big heat wave we're going through at the moment has caused this. I have taken that into consideration. The windows are now open, there are fans circulating, obviously not right now while I'm filming, simply because of the noise, but there is fans circulating now. I have learnt from that if that was the problem. But what more can I do? I've lost 2 animals to this point. I'm gutted, I'm heartbroken. I mean, it's a lovely enclosure, it's a lovely tarantula. It wasn't really that handleable, but with the arboreal tarantulas, you're never really going to get them handleable. So I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I could go with... Do you know the weird thing is with this enclosure, it was built for a crested gecko. There's an awesome gecko on the handle just here, but it's far too small for a gecko. So, but yeah, it's still too, the vents and the holes and stuff that are all in the side are far too big for morning geckos. And I am doing a big breeding project over there with morning geckos, so I don't know what I'll do with this enclosure. I might just make it a live planted enclosure and not really have an animal in there, just go for live planted. However, I have got future plans for dart frogs in a big enclosure down there, so I could use this for baby dart frogs maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna clean it out, or get the tarantula out there, keep feeding the cleanup crew that's in there, and just sort of see what happens, see what I come up with. I've got an awful lot going on at the moment with this channel, actually getting close to 10,000 subscribers, and turning it more from a reptile channel into a business, fully functioning business, trying to really dive into the analytics and see what you guys actually like. But if you've got any ideas on what you'd like to see me do with this, stick it in the comments down below. I might pick one of them. Who knows? But, so I'm heartbroken. I've been through all the animals. I've seen these 2 that have passed away. My next big concern was this. Could this tarantula, this is an Asamani tarantula in here, he's been in his burrow, hiding away for 2 months. I'm thinking pre-molt, something like that. Just webbed herself in a burrow, proper bad. Now I've got a peephole around the back of the enclosure, which I advise everyone to do. You just basically get a cork sort of half moon, push it up against the glass but tilt it away a little bit and don't put any substrate down the back. So if she is in there, you can look through the back and just have a look. It's a fancy little thing that I thought, I'll give it a go, see what happens, and it's worked out quite well. So I'll check her out in a minute. I've not checked her out yet. But the next one I need to check is my live food breeding. So I've got my dubia roaches just there, I've got mealworms over there, I've got my superworms down here, because I do breed a lot of live food. If you want to learn how to breed live food, just click on that card just there, that'll take you straight through to a playlist and you can go through there and have a look. So I had a look at my dubia roaches first, and yes, there is an awful lot of dead loss in the bottom of the dubia roach colony, but that's a normal, it happens, it's normal for that, because I have got so many generations in there. So I've got some new blood coming for that, that'll get sorted. Hence, if you really love your dubia roaches, you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button, because as soon as we get to 10,000 subscribers, we're doing a big reptile room tour video, and there's going to be loads of giveaways inside that video. We've got lifetime supply of bearded dragon food, we've got a dubia roach colony, we've got sticker packs, gift vouchers, got loads of stuff to give away on that video throughout that entire video. So when it does pop up, just make sure you watch the whole video so you don't miss out on any of the giveaways throughout, because you can enter them as many times as you want. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button, but while you're down there, hit that thumbs up, because why not? It does help. It helps this video out massively. But yeah, so I've got an awful lot of dead loss inside the dubia roaches that could have produced a smell. It might not have done, but I'm going to get them cleaned out anyway. Mealworms, perfect. There is, again, a lot of dead loss in there with beetles, but I tend to leave the dead beetles in there. The old age dead beetles in there anyway. And the mealworms, just clean them up, because they're a great clean-up crew as it is. Superworms, perfect. Not a single dead loss, they're thriving, so it can't be that. Could it be the plants and stuff? No, I went around, checked everything. Everything else was perfectly fine. So I figured in here, right, I've come up with a plan. Got to get my enclosures from the deceased pets, got to get them cleaned out. Find something to do with the actual animals themselves. I've got a good friend who does a lot of taxidermy, so that's where my centipedes go in, and I'm probably going to get in a nice frame, stuck it up on the wall somewhere. That'll look quite nice. But yeah, there's a plan for here. We know how to move forward. It's heartbreaking, it's down, it's depressing, but got to move on. These things happen. So leave the reptile room. Right, got a plan. We need to get some bits. We'll go out into the living room. Hugo, popcorn, their enclosures. Oh, Hugo must have had a party last night. He pulled his UVB light down. That was on the floor, smashed. They pulled one of his. He's got two D3 basking bulbs in there from Reptile Systems. One of them, he must have knocked that good and hard. That was wobbling, and that wasn't working. So I'm just left with one D3 basking bulb, and I'm thinking, oh no, what have I got to do here? So what I've done, just a quick fix right now. I've chucked in a normal heat bulb, 100-watt heat bulb that I had lying around. Whacked that in the other socket, left it at that for a moment. The D3 basking bulb, that's got a bit of UVB coming down. The other bulb is just adding for the extra heat. I've got to get out, get myself some sort of UVB setup for him, because at the minute he's got a reduced amount. He's still got some, but it's only in an isolated area. The rest of the enclosure's got none. So I want to get that sorted as quick as possible, because that is vitally important. So that's the story of my worst day here.